All right, everybody, welcome to the Business of Love.
Hey!
Woo! My name's Dan Lee. I'm here with my co-host in business and co-host in life, the most amazing, beautiful Jennifer Lear.
Thank you.
How you doing, baby?
You're really good. As for 3-4 episodes, now you say in life. I'm really proud of
I
you.
know, you got me trained.
Yeah.
See,
So you just have to be patient, everyone. They train
patience,
really well.
patience.
You just have to be patient. That's it.
So you look amazing today.
I do?
Yeah.
Because I had a late night, so I'm glad that I look
Whoa.
amazing today.
Yeah,
Hey.
that's right. You came in late, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure
yeah,
do.
yeah. So your escapades.
Yeah. It's not that type of a show
No.
or that kind of a relationship.
So just to make clear, since I opened up that loop, you did an MC gig last night, right?
Yes, I did.
So tell us real quick.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was called a Smart Women Summit, and it's a company called Smart Women as an association. It's all for meeting planners, and so with me and the business that I do, with corporate events, being around meeting planners is so valuable for me. So they hired me to MC their awards gala,
Nice.
and yeah, it was great. So I got to help celebrate all the amazing achievements that these women did and do in their businesses and their careers, and so it was quite extraordinary. It was the first time I did it, and it was so much fun.
Nice.
Great people.
Nice. Well, let's get down to business because this is the business of love. And
It
for those of
is.
you joining us for the first time, this show is all about relationships and about understanding the parallels. And really, this is for the men, because men are really focused. They're good at oftentimes doing what's right to build their business. But
Sorry.
Oftentimes I'm making a parallel between business and love. I
Right.
mean, if we handle our business, if we handle our relationships like we handle our business, I think oftentimes it would be much better.
Yeah, I think so
You know,
too. Yeah,
so-
emotions get involved in relationships, so
Yeah,
it's hard
yeah.
for people to keep it separate. They do it in business, but not in relationships.
So people always ask us, since you're such a superstar and flying and traveling and doing your thing, and I've got kind of an interesting life. Like, how did you guys meet? How did you guys meet? So I thought we'd tell that story today.
Yeah,
so are
that's a
you
great
ready,
idea.
really, to tell this story?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So I guess I'll start it out, right? Why don't you start it out? Well,
I tell it better anyway.
yeah, you tell it better. Well, I guess, I think it's important to talk about, and the reason this is important is because when people get together, especially the people who aren't really young, I mean, I had been married previously. You were not married, but you were
In relationships,
mature and in relationships, and we're getting together, and there's a lot of mixed stuff going on there. There's
Totally.
there's psychology, there's entanglements, there's financial stuff, there's all kind of stuff going on. And so just to bring us up to speed, when you and I met, I had been divorced for 2 years or 1 year.
Oh, longer than that. You've been divorced for 2 years. Yes.
Yeah. So when we met, I was divorced 2 years.
Yes, 2 years.
You were coming out of a relationship that you were entangled
in, yeah.
I think that's a fair word.
Absolutely.
And so, here we are. And so let's talk about how we met.
Yeah, it's a really fun story. I think it's hilarious
It
because
is a great story.
it was so unexpected. And so I was in Phoenix taking a master voice lesson, all day intensive, and I was getting ready to fly back.
Because you were performing at
Because
the
I was,
time.
yes,
You
I
were
was a headline singer. I
singer.
was a headline singer at the time. Thank you for filling in the gaps.
Yes.
I was a headline singer, and so I was going for my master voice class that it was awesome, and I was exhausted after it. It was an all-day deal. I was so tired, and I had a full fare flight, so I could just jump on any flight that I wanted to, but I had a reservation for like a 6 p.m. flight, and I wasn't going to make it. I was returning my rent-a-car. This is the cool part of the story. So I was returning my rent-a-car and stuff, and I'm like, I have like 10 minutes by the time I got to the airport. I'm probably not going to make that flight. I'll just jump on the next one because there's one every hour from Phoenix to Vegas. And so sure enough, I walk to the gate. It's like 5 minutes before the flight's leaving. Usually the door's closed. I'm like, why is the door open? And I said, is this flight still here? They said, yeah. They said, come on board. And I was like, okay. It was just so bizarre. So I got on the flight and I got on the plane, and it was almost empty, but I was flying a lot at the time. And so I sat where I always like to sit, which is in the exit row, just for extra legroom in Southwest. And sure enough, there was this good looking gentleman sitting at the window, and I was sitting in the aisle. And I was like,
Let's
okay.
make sure that they know that was me.
Yeah, that was you. That was you.
I gotta
Sorry,
fill in these
I know
gaps
you're
here.
filling in the gap. I'm tired, so help me out. And so, he was reading, and you were reading a newspaper, and your legs were outstretched because there's no seat in front of you. So you're just kind of, hanging out and comfortable. But you're in this beautiful suit, and obviously you just came from a business meeting. And so I sat down, and as time went on, I'm looking over at this guy, who is Dan, and thinking, gosh, he looks familiar, because I was flying a lot of the time, always sitting in the exit row. And oftentimes I'd see tall people, or, larger guys in those seats. And I thought I recognized him from another flight. And the previous flight that I was talking about was a real rocky, crazy flight. And so the guy and I kind of bonded. Like, he was cool. There was nothing romantic, but it was this really scary flight. And so I'm looking at Dan reading this newspaper thinking, should I say hello? Like, is that the guy? So I kept looking over and staring at him, and then kind of like, a little obvious,
A little?
Okay, so I was staring at you.
It was awkward.
And it wasn't totally, well, I guess it was awkward, but I was staring at him, kind of trying to figure out if he was the guy. And sure enough, he was reading the newspaper. So it's up, the big newspaper's up. And so literally he folded over one side, his left side, to look over at me. And he looked at me and he said, "Do you think you know me or something?"
Well, you make that sound like really pretentious.
Well, that's how you said it. And so
It was really awkward.
You didn't mean it that way. I know, but it was. You're kind of like, what is this girl doing?
Yeah, it was like you were a stalker or something.
Yeah,
It was like I got this. Think of it from my perspective.
Yeah,
I'm on
yeah.
a flight. I'm all dressed
And
up.
somebody's staring
This
at you.
woman comes on board that doesn't look like she's all there, and all of a sudden you're staring at me like you're gonna like I don't know what's going on.
I didn't look like I was all there. Yeah, I was.
Well,
I was kind of tired. Yeah.
Baby.
I know. I had no makeup on,
Hair
t-shirt
all
and
over the
jeans.
place.
It wasn't like I had a rock and roll night, but maybe. So anyway, I said, well, no, I thought I did, but I guess I don't. So I was thinking the other guy was much nicer, but
Yeah, the other
okay. And so the flight ends up, taking off, and we somehow get into conversation like, hey, so what do you do? What were you in Phoenix for? Are you going to Vegas? Oftentimes I'll ask people, hey, are you going to Vegas for business or pleasure? He's like, no, I live there. I said, oh, awesome. So what were you doing in Phoenix? He said, well, I'm a peak performance coach and speaker and author. And at the time, he said I was coaching the coach at the time of the Phoenix Suns, Terry Porter. He was doing personal peak performance coaching with him, and I'm on my way back to Vegas. And so a conversation ensues at that point, talking about, awesome, so what do you do? Who are you? And we just had this great conversation. You want to take it from there?
Yeah. So, as in my line of work, I ask a lot of questions, and at that particular time too, I was doing these events across the country
right.
with a business partner of mine at the time, Mike Lindstrom. We were doing these, excuse me, these events for women.
Forgot about
And
that.
because we had written this book called Men, 10 Secrets Every Woman Should Know from Two Guys That Do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in that mode of communicating with women and just asking a lot of questions. And so we would go to these events and these women would, book us, and we would do these shows, kind of forums.
Yeah, forums. Yeah.
Communicating about sex, relationships, men, all that kind of stuff.
Real talk. It was great.
Real talk. It was cool. The women were always drinking, and Mike and I weren't. So it was
Something wrong with that.
It was always interesting. So I was asking you questions, and I said, so wow, you're a beautiful woman.
Well, no, I don't think you said that because.
Well, I did, but I really didn't mean it.
Yeah, I know, because I didn't look so beautiful at that day. He was not attracted to me. That's I think why it was so good,
It was
because
good.
you weren't attracted to me, and I thought you were attractive, but I wasn't attracted to you. So it was really interesting
Perfect.
conversation.
Perfect.
Well, yeah. Well, we started talking like when I was asking Dan questions, I found out that crazy enough he lived around the corner from me, not around, like maybe like a mile away from me, in the same neighborhood.
But you're jumping ahead.
Am I
here,
jumping
'cause
ahead?
That's way to the end. You didn't
Oh,
know
yeah?
that till the end.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I think.
No, you're right. Oh, yeah, because I was looking at you and you're
Because at
very.
the very end, you're like, whoa, so what's it like to bring up kids here?
That's right.
So anyway, we're talking. I said, so what's your story? I said, do you have a boyfriend? Mm-hmm. And Jennifer said, well, just, thinking about getting out of it.
No, I was getting out of a relationship. I wasn't thinking about it.
Well, you were getting out of it, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you were struggling with it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember having the conversation with you about it.
Yeah, we were entangled.
And so, we were just chatting as if I was a guy and you're
Yeah.
a woman, talking about
Yeah.
your relationship. And I was just sharing some thoughts and some things that I had heard from other women over the course of the last 6 months in all my events and seminars, and just
Yeah.
picking your brain, because that's what I did. I was a coach at the time. I was doing a lot
Yes.
more coaching than I was speaking at the time.
Yes, yeah, and I had already asked you what you did, so
Yeah.
it was the I'm talking
Yeah.
to a coach at the time. It was awesome because
Yeah.
you had great conversation.
So I remember, I guess the great part of the talk was, Jennifer was telling me about her situation, and I remember ending the conversation, that snippet with, well, you're obviously an attractive woman. I'm sure you'll have no trouble, connecting with men. That type
No. Actually, what happened was that you said you're an attractive woman. I'm sure that you get picked up all the time on flights, traveling, whatever. Because I was talking about traveling so often, and I said, not so often, because I usually am traveling like this, like with no makeup on and t-shirt and jeans, whatever. And I said, but you looking like that. He was all dressed in this beautiful suit, and he's an attractive man. I said, I'm sure.
And I had a pink shirt on.
And he had a pink shirt on, a gray suit, yeah. And I said, but looking like that, I'm sure you get picked up on all the time since you travel so much. And Dan said, yeah, but I don't care about that. And I was like,
I said, I'm not interested in that.
You said, I'm not interested in that. I was like, oh, so he's gay. Okay, that's awesome. That was in the very beginning. That's what opened up the conversation. We're not doing very good on our timeline, so I messed it up in the beginning. But that's what opened up the conversation, because I was like, oh, awesome. He's gay. He's beautifully dressed. He's flamboyantly talking. He uses his hands. He's he's not like all my other gay friends that I have. But so I'm like, maybe it's okay, because maybe he's just different. But I thought he was gay because he was not interested in women. I thought. But come to find out, he was not interested in relationships, because he was done with that. So that was interesting. But it laid the foundation for an open conversation, which was fun.
Over the next 35, 40 minutes, we were stuck in these chairs with each other, and so we talked about family,
everything.
sex, everything.
Oh my gosh! Well, I don't know if we talked about sex. We definitely talked about a lot of things, because we talked a lot about work, a lot about relationships, and then of course I was asking Dan at some point. I don't remember how we got on the subject of kids. I think I asked you, and you're like, yeah, I've got 2 kids. And
yeah, so I was divorced, and I had 2 kids. And so she asked me, what's it like to raise kids in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
And I said, well, we live outside of Vegas in a place called Anthem Country Club. Mm-hmm. So it's more like living in Scottsdale or something, and Jennifer says, Anthem Country Club, that's where I live.
Which was crazy, because we were both going to the gym at Anthem Country Club, and both in those circles, but at different times, because I was performing at night at that time. I wasn't getting home until 1:30 in the morning, and he is a business guy. He was up at 5 and at the gym at 5:30, and so I was at the gym at 2:00 in the afternoon. And so sometimes, and I thought I had seen him maybe, but I'm so focused at the gym I don't really talk. And but it was interesting, because we never met over that 1-year period, and it was almost like God said, okay, if y'all can't do it yourselves, I'm going to put you on a plane next to each other. Right. But it was what was really cool about the whole situation. We had this wonderful conversation, and I was interested in what Dan could do. Like I was stuck in my career. I was stuck in my life. I was trying to get out of this relationship. I just needed some help and some guidance. And I knew that as a peak performing coach, I was like, well, shoot, God plopped you into my lap. Obviously I'm supposed to work with you. And so I emailed him and invited him to the show that I was performing in at the Rio, and I knew that at least I could have my hair and makeup done, and he would see me in a whole different light.
Boy, did you ever.
Yeah. And then we were inseparable. We became friends, and actually it was just something that we started talking for hours on end all the time, and we just became inseparable, just talking, having conversation.
Yeah, and so I think friends. It was, psychology was interesting here. So when I met Jennifer, obviously you're a very beautiful woman, and that day that I met you, you weren't fixed up. So it's not like you didn't have makeup on. Your hair was natural curly, and your hair was like red at the time,
it was
right?
Blonde,
and it was
strawberry
naturally
blonde,
curly, and you didn't have makeup on, and you had old jeans, and you had spilt something on your shirt, so you bought a shirt at the airport. So it wasn't your best day.
No, definitely.
And so when I say that I wasn't attracted to you, it was that moment in time. And so, but it was great because, we were just chatting. And so then when Jennifer invited me, so here's the psychology from a man, which was really interesting. And I don't think I ever told you this before. So Jennifer gives me her business card. I give her my business card, and I make a comment to her about, she stuck it in her purse, which looked like a file folder from 1926.
Remember, it fell out like it all. I dumped
it out.
Just
stuff fell out all over, and I'm like, oh yeah, that you'll never. That's the last time.
Yeah, you'll never find that again.
And so anyway, I was just like, but when she said, "Can I get your card?" I'm thinking, oh no, you don't want to hire me for your success coach, because I'm thinking about, okay, all this is going to happen is she's going to hire me. We're going to hook up, and then she doesn't want me for her success coach.
Oh, that's
maybe
funny.
A VIP success coach. But that's what I was thinking. So when you were saying, I want to coach. I was laughing to myself going, oh no, you don't want me to coach you.
That's so funny too.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I went to go see her. I went to go see Jennifer
Oh.
at the Rio. She was doing 6 shows a night there with
Yep.
a co-star, a male model, Chippendale, beautiful 6'4" naked guy,
Mm-hmm.
who's on national TV now. And so I see her up there, and she's obviously full makeup. I went from no makeup to show makeup.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a difference. Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
no makeup, and then there's regular makeup, and then there's show makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got the stuff going on, and the
costumes
glitter, and the
and, yeah.
costume, and the lingerie, and she's oh wow.
Actually, the picture behind you is me in show makeup.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
show makeup. That's probably after an event or
Yeah,
something.
that's probably yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's got to be because
So then she's like, oh my god. I'm thinking, wow, she's wow. And so then she's talking and well, she's doing her show. She's extraordinarily talented, command of the stage. She's a professional, not an amateur, and that was really awesome to watch. And so that kind of shifted my mind about who she was because obviously I didn't know.
Right.
But the great part about it was, in retrospect, is that you still were in this relationship, and so because of that, things went really slow.
Yeah, very much so.
Because of the kind of woman you are. And so that was really awesome because proximity is power. I tell people this a lot. I mean, I literally, when I got divorced, I dated nobody in this state.
Really?
I didn't take out any women in Anthem Country
that's
Club.
right. You told me that,
I didn't
yeah.
date anybody in this town because
So
it's such a
smart.
small town. And
Yep.
even though, I'm just a tall, anyway, I didn't do it.
People know who you are.
Especially
you have
in Anthem
yeah.
Country Club.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people in there, and I just didn't want to go there. So I was
Smart.
just like under the radar. And so when I met Jennifer and she lived in Anthem Country Club, all of a sudden, man, proximity is power. So we literally would see each other every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, let's go to the gym. I'd swing over and she'd swing over and she'd come over with absolutely no makeup on and a yoga outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And like, wow, this is really interesting because it's the first time in my entire life that 2 people I felt were just being really real,
Very
and
real.
vulnerable. And I think the key is about this discussion is like for me, I was, mid 40s at the time, and I didn't care. I don't care about, you can get laid anytime you want.
Right.
You can, have a fling anytime you want. But this was interesting because I was actually talking to a woman that was smart and was somebody that had some similar thoughts than I did, and she was close. So just being able to grab a conversation or grab a coffee, you tend to build your friendship and your partnership better. And that
Quicker,
was the
yeah.
key. I'd never really been friends with a female prior to having sex.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, no, you told me that you had a lot of female friends in high school.
I didn't have sex with them.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So a friend
Yeah.
that there was
There was no
no
chemistry,
chemistry,
between.
but
Yeah. That makes
rare,
sense.
never in my life
Yeah.
did I actually get to know a woman
Before you
before
had, I see.
sex.
Yeah.
So not that you should or shouldn't do it, but that was my first experience.
Yeah.
And so it was different. So let's talk about, there's so many things that happened, and I think this is important because when people get older, again, we had all this stuff going on. You had a career.
Yep.
I had a career.
Yeah.
I had 2 kids. I had
Yes.
an ex-wife who was challenging.
Yes.
You had a guy that you were entangled with
Yep.
that was kind of challenging.
Yep.
And so the biggest thing, Jennifer, I think was just our ability to communicate
Yes.
about those things. And I
Yes.
think that's where we can really help people. Because when you get together for the first time, you have a chance to wipe the slate clean.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chance to be yourself. You have a chance to share what's going on. You have a chance to be real.
Yeah.
And many people don't do that.
Right.
And so I think it was great for us. We would sit around and talk for hours, and we would just
Yes.
chat about stuff and
About life.
about
Everything.
your boyfriend that you were coming out of, what was going on. You guys were tangled up. I mean, there was stuff going on financially. There was health insurance, just real stuff that and I think that what you come away with there is having the knowledge that you're in a relationship with somebody who can communicate.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. 100%.
I mean, that's the key.
If you don't have communication, you have nothing. Because a lot of people go into relationships and their communication is sexual. Like their real communication
course.
is sexual. That's their connection rather than the actual verbiage that they use to
Yeah.
connect. And That's a problem. And the reason I know that is because that's what I used to do. I used to have those relationships where we would talk and we would be together, but the real connection was made sexually.
Yeah.
And because either he wasn't able to communicate or I wasn't able to communicate. And so that's where the chemistry was. But as soon as the chemistry goes away, as soon as that that part goes away, then what is there?
Yeah.
You didn't build a foundation of communication. And that's what we did first, which was circumstantial and so powerful.
Yep.
We got very, very lucky with that. It was so destined to be that way because of what happened. And now I look at it and I go, wow, purposeful communication, purposeful, people get into relationships and like you were talking before, like people will do purposeful things in business. They'll strategize, and not only you just strategize in a manipulative way in relationships, but you should strategize by saying, you know what? No, this is how to lay out a relationship. This is how to lay out building this new partnership.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
That's what it is.
I mean, it's a partnership, end of story. And people take more care in business than they do in their personal lives. And I think that's what was so brilliant about what we did.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful way to look at life, period.
Yeah.
Because, we get so taken over by emotions or what this person can fill up for us, because we're all broken human beings. We all have our pasts of things where we're empty in one place, and we're all looking for a partner to fill us up. Hopefully that we're advanced and we've done the work on ourselves to be a whole person before we go into. But at some point, there are still those places where you really can't learn and grow until you have that partnership and that experience with that, where you do, like, I really do feel, and we'll talk about this another time, but I really do feel that you and I have healed each other on so many levels because of the missing pieces that we had in our lives or in our childhood, and the similarities that we had growing up.
Yeah.
That were perfectly placed for us to be able to learn and grow. But like I said, another time on that one. But the fact that, looking back on a relationship where, wow, if you could really have that understanding and belief, like, okay, this is how it should start to unfold by being friends. I mean, that's what's gotten us through everything in our marriage.
I think it's a tough one because not everybody you meet you feel is going to be your life partner.
True.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I think that the message from my perspective is if you think that you met somebody and you think that they've got some depth to them and you think they might be somebody that you would like to spend more time with, and whoa, you might even want to get married to, you have a feeling when you get started, does he or she fit the category?
Yeah.
I mean, right away. I mean, whether, he or she's just really hot, or they're fun, or they're intriguing, or this, that, and the other. But then that there's, this person might be real. Yeah. And so I think the distinction is that if or if you think that person is the real person, then you need to look at it like a business. Like, you don't jump into business. You don't jump into bed with a business partner. And I don't mean that literally.
I know. I understand.
I don't mean that literally. I mean that you just don't start your business. So I think it's important, like when you're thinking about getting building a relationship that could end up in marriage, you've got to take it slow.
Yes.
Like you are building a business, because we don't make those mistakes in business. When we make mistakes in business, we crash.
Right, exactly. There's a book that's brilliant, and a good girlfriend of mine, one of my best friends, was, like me and a lot of other of my friends, in and out of relationships, and, this didn't work, that didn't work. And she read a book I think it's called The Partnership Charter. Okay. And I can't remember who wrote it, but she said she read that book, and she before going into her now current marriage, she followed the steps in what this partnership charter is, and it's how to go into partnership in business.
Right.
But she followed it for her relationship and has had a successful marriage from it, because she looked at it like a business. It's a partnership. End of story.
It is a partnership.
And so I thought that was brilliant.
It is brilliant.
I was so proud of her. I thought that was amazing.
Do you think that's harder for women than for men because of the emotions?
I think probably because we are definitely more the emotional gender, although there are some really emotional men.
Yes, we do
that
know
I've been
a few
with.
of those.
Yeah. Yet, so yeah, but I think more so for women. But however, women also think long term. a lot of us, they say that the woman is the one looking for, is in the long game, like looks at,
Absolutely.
and that's why, men get all upset because of, oh, women want is, you have to drive a nice car, you have to have a nice, good job, you have to have money. Well, yeah, because the woman is looking at, we're the ones that, have the babies. And so we're
Yes.
looking at being, what do you call it?
The
for.
word's competent.
Yeah, no, yeah, that,
No, it
but
is.
no,
No,
but being provided for,
Yes.
you look at that, and it's a survival thing. It's something that's so in our DNA.
Yes.
It's not just, oh, I'm looking for something superficial. No, I'm looking for a man who can provide.
Yeah.
Because if I have babies, I need to know that we're going to be taken care of, and
right.
that's what we do. And so, so a woman does kind of think long term. We do immediately jump to, what's this going to look like 10, 20 years? Does this guy have the potential? Does
Yeah.
he have, does he have what it takes to make it and to be that man that's going to be there? I mean, we talked a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when we were having conversations, I was finding out what you were made of.
Yes.
Could you go through, are you the one that I wanted to be in the bunker with when everything goes wrong?
Yeah.
Are you the guy who's going to be there with me to help fight, and we're going to be a team so we can be you and me against the world type of a situation? And you are.
Yeah.
And you were, so that's what I saw. Those are the things that really helped build my table legs under my table, of knowing that you are the man for me.
Yeah.
The belief of understanding who you are. And those are the things that those are the foundation of our marriage, or
Yeah.
our relationship, and then ultimately our marriage.
Yeah, and I use that word competent because, I listen to a lot of psychology,
Yes.
right? And so there's an underlying psychological and something in your DNA for a female is that, of course, if you take it way back, the men are the providers going out and hunting, and women, they're sorting and filtering through somebody
Yes.
who has, and the word they use in psychology is competent, because when you're competent, you understand and you can take care of your family, and you understand that we need to have a house and we need to get food. I mean, this just
Right.
sounds really simple, right?
Right.
But you date somebody and if they are being responsible is part of being competent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what they use. The higher level of competence you typically have, the more potential you have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Got it. That's
So,
cool.
but that's great. So let's wrap this up here
Okay.
with some takeaways. So, how we met. What are the takeaways for our audience here? Here's the from me is like, first of all, and this is hard for men, but when you meet somebody, I mean, if you think that this woman has potential, and I'm just talking from a man's perspective, it's so important to be yourself and be real.
Yes.
I mean, just be yourself and be real. Do not pretend like you're somebody you're not. Do not, rent a beautiful car or rent a jet for the weekend and put this big thing on if that's not who you really are. I mean, if that's who you are, great. Just be who you are, because it's not fair to you or to her to sell something that's fictitious.
Yes.
So you got to be yourself. And I think that was key for me.
Yeah.
It's the first time I ever did that too.
And I think we need to do an episode on how to do that, because I think a lot of people don't maybe know what that is, really. And
Yeah.
especially men. I don't know if they really know how to do that. I'd love to lay that out.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm making a note on that.
And then I think, the other takeaway is for now is just really think about developing a friendship. And that sounds so corny. I mean, it sounds so corny. But like I said, in today's world, sexual relationships are easy. I mean, you can just swipe left or right or how the hell you do it.
Wherever it goes, yeah.
I'm not swiping anything, but that's how they do it now. So it's not like, if you're going to meet somebody and you really think they have potential, man, do it right.
Yeah.
Take it slow. Ask questions.
Yeah.
Find out about him and her.
And the outcome of that is, I'll never forget, multiple times throughout the years, many, 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 many times you would say this to me, say, God, it feels so good to be loved for who I am.
Yeah,
And you can only be loved for who you are if you show who you are in the very beginning.
that's exactly right.
And so you were exactly who you are. I got to see you and fall in love with that. And so you could continue being who you are rather than worrying about being something else.
Yep.
And that's the takeaway.
And that's the peace I feel today too.
Yeah.
I feel peace that
Yeah.
you know exactly who I am. And I don't know
To the core.
to the core. I mean, this is very
Yeah.
interesting. You know everything about me. Every bad habit, every good habit. I don't have any secrets from you.
No.
Which is really friggin' amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people can say that, but I feel good about it.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel clean.
Yeah.
I feel peaceful.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling. And I think that that's part of it too. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest with your partner, male or female, and
Yeah.
take it slow.
Yeah.
So Jennifer,
Yes.
you said it all. I promise I'm not going to use that.
I know. Thank
Anyway,
you.
you're incredible. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
being my co-host and co-partner.
And co-host in life.
Yes, sir. And so until next time, the business of love.
Love you.
We're out of here.
Love
See ya.
you.
Bye.